Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up Star Trek. Khan takes place in two different time periods after Star Trek, the original series and during the first 6 Star Trek movies. An original dramatic narrative podcast, Star Trek, Khan reveals what happened during Khan Noonien Singh's exile on the doomed world of Ceti Alpha V. Khan was introduced in Star Trek, the original series Season 1, Episode 22, Space Seed. A genetically engineered warlord who once ruled much of Earth, Khan was awoken from his cryogenic sleep by Captain James T. Kirk and the USS Enterprise. Soon, Khan and his augment followers attempted to hijack the Starship Enterprise with the help of the infatuated Starfleet historian, Lt. Marla McGivers. Kirk defeated Khan and exiled him, along with his 70 followers and McGivers, to the planet Ceti Alpha V. Almost 2 decades later, Khan was able to hijack the USS Reliant to seek his revenge on Admiral Kirk in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Kirk outwitted Khan once more, and the supervillain detonated his stolen Genesis device, killing himself in the process, although Kirk and the Enterprise managed to escape. Star Trek. Khan reveals a new investigation into what really happened to Khan and his followers on Ceti Alpha V, taking audiences from one present day to the past, when Khan endured numerous tragedies on the world he hoped to conquer and make his own. Star Trek. Khan utilizes a framing device via a Starfleet investigation that takes place in late 2293 or early 2294. Dr. Rosalind Lear gains Starfleet's permission to return to Ceti Alpha V to find the tapes Khan left behind documenting his ordeal. 2293 is a pivotal year in the 23rd century. Star Trek VI. The Undiscovered Country takes place that year, which enabled peace between the United Federation of Planets and the Klingon Empire. Later in 2293, the USS Enterprise B launched. Aboard the Federation's new flagship was Captain Kirk, who seemingly died saving the Enterprise from the Nexus. In Star Trek, Khan, Captain Hikaru Sulu George Takei establishes that Kirk's death was 3 months ago. Star Trek. Voyager Season 3, Episode 2, Flashback, revealed that Tuvok Tim Russ was an ensign serving aboard Captain Sulu's USS Excelsior during the events of Star Trek VI. Both Ensign Tuvok and Captain Sulu play key roles in Star Trek. Khan's framing timeline. Sulu commands the USS Excelsior to Ceti Alpha V, and Tuvok accompanies Dr. Lear to the planet to find Khan's tapes while serving as the researcher's liaison to the starship. The meat of Star Trek. Khan's story is the pivotal events that took place on Ceti Alpha V. Khan's awakening, attempted takeover of the USS Enterprise, and subsequent exile in Star Trek. The original series happened in 2267 after his Botany Bay vessel was intercepted in space by Kirk's starship. The Ceti Alpha V flashbacks in Star Trek. Khan Episode 1, Paradise, begin over 70 days after Khan and his people arrive on what was originally a lush planet teeming with life. Khan's people began developing Ceti Alpha V using their available resources and with the help of a medlab provided by Captain Kirk. In Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Khan reveals that 6 months after the augments came to Ceti Alpha V, the neighboring planet Ceti Alpha 6 exploded. The destruction shifted Ceti Alpha V's orbit, quickly turning what was a Class M paradise into a hostile and barren desert wasteland. Star Trek. Khan Episode 1 gives the unsuspecting Khan and his people a mere 4 months before their optimistic lives are irrevocably devastated by Ceti Alpha 6. Until then, Khan has a bold vision to remake Ceti Alpha V, including building a Colosseum. Star Trek often simplifies Khan's return in Star Trek II. The Wrath of Khan is happening 20 years after his exile on Ceti Alpha V. However, Star Trek II takes place in 2285, and that is 18 years after the events of Star Trek. The original series' Space Seed in 2293. Of course, 18 years of eking out a grim life of survival in the ruins of Ceti Alpha V Watching numerous members of his people die, including his wife, Marla McGivers, drove Khan mad. Khan fixated his hatred and thirst for vengeance on Captain Kirk. Star Trek. Khan will also eventually reveal how Khan discovers the Ceti eels, the only indigenous life form that survived the transformation of Ceti Alpha V. The Ceti eels tortured many of Khan's followers, leading to madness and death. Star Trek. Khan's framing sequence taking place in 2293 or 2294 means Dr. Rosalind Lear's investigation into what happened on Ceti Alpha V commences 8 or 9 years after Khan Noonien Singh perished from detonating the Genesis device aboard the USS Reliant in 2295. In the 18 years between Star Trek, the original series, and Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Captain Kirk completed his 5-year mission, leading the USS Enterprise. Kirk was promoted to Rear Admiral and became Chief of Starfleet Operations. In the 2270s, Admiral Kirk took over command of the refitted USS Enterprise from Captain Will Stephen Collins to intercept VGR, which was headed towards Earth in Star Trek, the motion picture. Kirk is believed to have then led a second 5-year mission aboard the Enterprise. As depicted in the Nexus scenes in Star Trek Generations, Admiral Kirk attempted to retire from Starfleet in the early 2280s and live a quiet country life in Idaho with a woman named Antonia. However, Kirk couldn't stay idle, and he chose to return to Starfleet. This brings Kirk up to the start of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. While Kirk isn't expected to appear or be heard from in Star Trek, Khan, the captain of the Enterprise, is an omnipresent specter in Khan's life after their first meeting in Star Trek, the original series. Surprisingly, Khan is grateful to Kirk for his exile on Ceti Alpha V at first. Khan will inevitably come to hate and blame Kirk before long. Few villains in the history of Star Trek are as enduring, complex, and strangely sympathetic as Khan Noonien Singh. From Ricardo Montalban's chilling performance in Space Seed and The Wrath of Khan to Benedict Cumberbatch's darker reinterpretation in Star Trek Into Darkness, Khan has always represented the ultimate test of Starfleet's morality. His intelligence, strength, and charisma make him more than a simple tyrant. He is an idea, a living question about human ambition and the dangers of perfection. With recent hints, tie-in projects, and references in Strange New Worlds, the franchise is clearly not done with Khan. But fans keep asking the same question. When does this new Khan story take place? Because in true Star Trek fashion, there isn't just one timeline to consider. The answer depends entirely on whether we're talking about the Prime Timeline, the original continuity stretching from the original series through Strange New Worlds, or the Kelvin Timeline, the alternate reality created by the time-traveling Romulan Nero in J.J. Abrams' 2009 reboot. Both offer fascinating answers, and both carry radically different implications for Khan's role in the galaxy. In the Prime Timeline, Khan is not simply a shadowy villain waiting in the wings. He is a product of Earth's darkest chapter, the Eugenics Wars. These conflicts, fought in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, saw genetically engineered humans rise to power and attempt to rule as superior beings. Khan Noonien Singh was the most famous of these augments, leading vast swaths of Asia under his dominion before being overthrown and exiled into space. Traditionally, this war was supposed to take place in the 1990s, but as real history diverged, Star Trek writers began to reframe the timeline. Strange New Worlds addressed this head-on by revealing that the Eugenics Wars and World War III were not separate incidents, but part of a larger catastrophic era stretching into the mid-21st century. In the Season 1 episode, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, Lon Noonien Singh comes face-to-face with Khan as a child, locked away, studied, and feared for what he will become. This is where things get intriguing. The Prime Timeline doesn't just treat Khan as a relic of history. It treats him as an active variable. His childhood imprisonment in the 21st century suggests that history itself may have been altered by meddling time travelers like the Romulans or the temporal agents of the 29th century. Lon's confrontation with young Khan positions him not as a static figure, but as someone whose path could theoretically change depending on interference. So, in the Prime timeline, the new Khan story takes place in the 21st century, long before Kirk meets him in the 23rd. It isn't a tale of revenge yet. It's a story of origin, trauma, and the shaping of a villain who will one day clash with the Enterprise. Instead of being frozen in cryogenic sleep already, this version of Khan is still living his formative years, a dangerous period where hope, cruelty, and destiny collide. The Kelvin timeline provides an entirely different context. In Star Trek Into Darkness, Khan is discovered not by Kirk in the 23rd century's deep space, but by Admiral Marcus of Starfleet. This Starfleet officer, desperate to militarize and prepare against threats, awakens Khan decades earlier than he was meant to be revived. This creates a chilling alternate path. Instead of being a wild card discovered by chance aboard the Botany Bay, Khan is weaponized by the Federation itself. His intellect is exploited, his engineering skills put toward designing advanced starships, and his loyalty twisted into a tool of war. When he eventually rebels, it is not out of pure self-interest, but because Starfleet itself attempted to use him and his crew like disposable assets. Thus, in the Kelvin timeline, Khan's new story takes place not in the past, but in the present of the 23rd century. He is not frozen away waiting to be stumbled upon. He is alive, awake, and directly enmeshed in the politics and corruption of Starfleet. His conflict with Kirk is as much about exposing Starfleet's hypocrisy as it is about his own ambitions. This makes the Kelvin Khan less of a mythic boogeyman from Earth's history and more of a mirror for what happens when the Federation abandons its ideals. His rage is justified in ways the Prime timeline Khan's never was. His new timeline emphasizes the theme of who is truly the villain, Khan, or the people who awoke him. What makes this duality so fascinating is that the same character tells two entirely different stories depending on which timeline you follow. Prime Khan is the embodiment of Earth's genetic sins, a reminder that even humanity's future carries the scars of ambition. His story takes place in the 21st century, shaping him into the tyrant who will haunt Kirk and Starfleet. Kelvin Khan is a byproduct of Federation arrogance, a victim of Starfleet's darker instincts to weaponize rather than negotiate. His story unfolds in the 23rd century, reshaping him into a tragic revolutionary as much as a tyrant. Both stories, however, highlight the same truth. Khan is not just an enemy. He is a mirror of humanity's worst instincts. Whether born from 21st century experiments or 23rd century exploitation, he represents the consequences of choosing power over principle. The question now is not just when Khan's story takes place, but how far Star Trek is willing to go in retelling it. With La'an's storyline in Strange New Worlds, the franchise has already committed to exploring Khan's influence across generations. Her guilt, her resilience, and her fear of her own lineage provide fertile ground for a deeper examination of what it means to be a Noonien Singh. Meanwhile, the door is never fully closed on the Kelvin version. Alternate universes have a way of bleeding into each other in Star Trek. Imagine a crossover where La'an confronts the awakened Khan of the Kelvin universe, forcing her to reconcile with both the monster and the victim within him. The genius of Khan's story is that it doesn't need to be locked into a single era or a single morality tale. In the Prime timeline, he is still the terrifying echo of humanity's past. In the Kelvin timeline, he is the consequence of Starfleet's future mistakes. In both, he reminds us that the line between savior and tyrant is perilously thin. So, when does Star Trek's new Khan story take place? The answer is simple yet complex. In the Prime timeline, it takes place in the 21st century when Khan is still a child destined to become a tyrant. In the Kelvin timeline, it takes place in the 23rd century when Khan has already been awakened and manipulated by Starfleet itself. Two timelines, two very different Khans, and in both, one undeniable truth. As long as humanity reaches for perfection without wisdom, there will always be a Khan waiting in the shadows. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.